Boys and girls, welcome! It's Thursday night and the headlines are doing the most. I'm Elliot Bright and this is the Gaily News. August 27th brought 5 stories that refuse to sit still. Everton Blair just made history in Georgia. A federal judge in Texas told the state to take its drag ban and try again. Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, has died at 85. Bangladesh universities keep expelling students over homosexuality allegations, and the killing of a young gay man in Cameroon has the community on edge again. We're going to move through all of it, but first, can the 80 and older LGBTQ allies and cultural pillars please stop dying for 5 minutes? Dolly Parton at 80, Tim Curry at 80, now Peter Cullen at 85. That's 3 in a couple of days. We can stop now. The universe has made its point. Our producer David is a huge Transformers fan, so naturally, losing a legend like Cullen is particularly difficult. Sorry to all of the Optimus Prime fans out there. But let's get through the rest of the news. We start with a win that actually feels like one. Everton Blair Jr., the former Gwinnett County School Board chair, won the special election runoff for Georgia's 13th congressional district. When he is sworn in, he becomes Georgia's first openly LGBTQ+ member of Congress and the first Black openly gay member of Congress from the South. He is also the first LGBTQ+ Jamaican American to serve in the House. The seat was open after the death of longtime Democratic Representative David Scott. Blair defeated Scott's daughter, Marcy Scott, in the runoff. His time in office will be short, only until January, but the symbolism is not. At a moment when the community is being told to shrink, an openly gay Black man from the South just walked into the Capitol. That matters. In Texas, U.S. District Judge David Hittner struck down the state's drag show restriction law for the second time. Senate Bill 12, which created criminal and civil penalties for sexually oriented performances in the presence of minors, have been allowed to take effect earlier this year after an appeals court intervention. Hittner again found it unconstitutionally vague and overly broad, noting it could theoretically snare everything from sports to musicals to a Dolly Parton impersonator. His advice to people who find the performances offensive was characteristically blunt: just don't go. Attorney General Ken Paxton immediately vowed to appeal. The legal fight is not over, but for now, the injunction is back in place. And then the losses keep stacking up. Peter Cullen, the Canadian voice actor who gave Optimus Prime his steady, moral authority and spent decades as the voice of Eeyore, died Wednesday at his home in Los Angeles. He was 85. His family asked the public to honor his legacy by leading with compassion and remembering the line that defined his most famous character: "Be strong enough to be gentle." Cullen was not a political activist in the traditional sense, but his work reached generations of queer kids who found strength, melancholy, and permission in those voices. Coming right after Dolly Parton and Tim Curry, the cluster of 80-plus cultural figures who mattered to LGBTQ+ audiences is starting to feel like a punchline no one asked for. 3 in a handful of days. We can stop now. Overseas, the pattern of surveillance and punishment continues in Bangladesh. Universities, including the University of Dhaka, have expelled students this year over allegations of homosexuality, often with little transparent process and in some cases involving police. Human rights monitors describe a documented pattern of monitoring, hall expulsions, and disciplinary action that treats queer existence itself as moral misconduct. The climate remains hostile, and the cost for students is immediate: housing, education, and safety. In Cameroon, the murder of a well-known young gay man in Douala has reopened deep fears for the LGBTQ+ community. In a country where organizing is already difficult and leadership is stretched thin, a high-profile killing lands as both personal tragedy and public warning. Advocates say the violence underscores how little protection exists when the state and society remain openly hostile. That is Thursday. A historic first in Georgia. A federal judge in Texas telling the state to back off drag performers. The third major cultural loss in days with Peter Cullen's death. Ongoing expulsions of queer students in Bangladesh. and renewed alarm after a killing in Cameroon. Some days, the news hands us a win and a gut punch in the same breath. Today did both. Thank you for spending this time with the Gaily News. I'm Elliot Bright. Same place tomorrow. Stay fierce. And seriously, the legends need to stick around. Transformers, roll out.